talking about supporting there, you play with the puck, and then the supporting player's got to give you somewhere to pass, right? Give you a target. My players have the trouble with that, making it easy for people to pass to them.
Yeah,
And then on defense,
yeah,
the two roles are the player checking the puck carrier and all those skills involved in that, right? Angling and all this sort of thing. And then players covering away from the puck. So that's the fourth role is team defense. So individual defensive skills and team defensive skills. So when I organize things, everything's organized according to that, to those four playing roles. And I think it makes it a lot easier to make sure you're covering everything.
sure.
So I know when I was helping with the state men there about 5 years ago, coach ran the best offensive drills you could ever see. Like his really, really great drills and all this, but hardly worked on the last role, team defense. And I went and I coached the women. I came back to the men, and they'd gone in this terrible losing streak. They dropped out of. They were in second place, and the penalty kill wasn't very good, and they really weren't very good on their own end. So he had me work on these two things. We started winning again, and we won a playoff series. And if they didn't open the gate, and one of my players just about got killed when they opened the gate on purpose and hit him right into the gate.
No.
We might have won the next round and got in the finals. But that's T4, which is team defense. So you got to cover all of them. So
Peter, how does that relate, like what Tom said, to the idea of concepts? Like I'm trying to simplify it so that people understand it. Like you have offense, individual skills, and then when you do have team tactics, that's the concept of support. You're playing with more than yourself. You're playing together.
Right. And I think that's where the idea of the concepts come in, especially with the support, right? The concept of support is, where am I in the best spot if Wally has the puck, that I can help Wally to be an option for him to either pass me the puck or maybe take up space for Wally to skate through to make a play or make a pass over to Tom.
Tom, I've talked about this many times, but the sequence that Johanni did years ago on passing, 3 drill progressions. To me, they're cardinal progressions that you have to do. It's just, I don't know what else to say. Is 40 years ago, and I'm going to share it on the site. It's just actually blew me away back in the day. It's one of those light bulb moments. And I call it a passing progression. And the eye contact is critical. If you don't see the eyes of the receiver and the receiver doesn't see you, they're not going to get open. They're not going to be available for the pass. So that's sort of where I'm coming from on this whole thing here. Trying to get people to get a little more savvy about how to teach things like that. And I'm going to put it on there, but it's a real simple sequence, Peter. And you can do it at you.
it's in my book.
Yeah. And Peter, I'll just verbalize it right now, but I'll send the package. The first drill is 6 players on a circle. Stationary passing 1 puck. Then 2. Then 3. What do you think happens, Peter? Your voice, Peter. Need your sound.
I think there's a lot of pucks that players turn around and chase, or one player has 2 pucks, or maybe in some cases one player has 3 pucks.
That's exactly it. Passes are made to a person who's already got the puck. In this drill, and Peter, if you're talking about teaching the concept of passing and receiving and putting nets down, this precedes that.
Sure, makes sense.
So the drill is stop it when the coach has to stop the drill as soon as 2 pucks go to 1 person. And they have to teach the idea of eye contact. Only pass to the person you're looking at, eye contact, who doesn't have a puck. Very simple. But it was a moment of, wow, they're not making a connection with one another. Second progression, Peter, pucks are on the blue line boards, coach is in the corner, the player passes to the coach and goes in for a pass into the scoring area slot for a return pass and a shot. Sort of a give and go. But the difference here is the coach keeps his head down. He might turn his back. And the player up top doesn't beeline to the net. If you give and go with the coach and just let it go, they'll go too close to the net to receive the pass. They don't get the concept of saving ice up top, skating laterally, weaving, and when the coach turns and faces you and you have eye contact, then you can move into the slot. So those are the first, that's the first 2 sequences. The third one is you put a player in the corner to give and go with the player, but you tell them to keep their head down. Make your return pass when you have eye contact. So after that, there's other sequences, but that's the one I'm gonna share, and I'm just figuring out how to get to share that on Skype. But does that make sense, Peter?
No, yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not. It does, and I've done quite a bit of what you're talking about, are things that I've done. I like the addition of the player and coach kind of ignoring, if you will, that the player is heading to the net, and the player heading to the net has to adjust to the passer.
Tom, do you remember that ice session as well as I do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Johanny was probably the smartest hockey man I've ever met. He simplified everything, and it really, the game was just common sense to him. And that's why I developed players like Koivu and Hannaverta and, all guys like that. And he was captain of Finland for years and played in 3 Olympics for them.
I think the biggest reason the Europeans have had such success over years is because of their passing. They prize the pass more than they do the shot and the goal. And very rarely do they do even number drills, Peter. Like if you play 3 versus 3 keep away, that's one thing. But when you do 3 versus 2, there's an advantage, and you are going to get open. There's more space.
Sure.
So they don't do even numbers. And that's why I think the best drill in hockey that isn't used enough is 3 versus 2D below the ringette line.
Yeah,
And they're placing pucks.
we
in the
we
pool.
would do one. I mean, I've really done this at every level. Just about once you get above squirts, it's something called a dot game, where there's a player on each dot, and they can move around within the dot and those crosshairs that are there on the ice, but that's where they can move. And the only way they can be activated is you start out with a 2-on-2, and they have to get a direct pass to that player. At the older levels, they have to make a direct pass to that player and a shot that gets through to the goaltender, which now activates that player. So now that player they have a 3-on-2, and then the defensive team's job is to work to recover that puck, to move it to their player on their dot, which then frees that player and sends the opponent's player back to the dot. So someone always has a 3-on-2 when you start with the 2-on-2, and that's been really effective, because everything is, like you're saying, pretty much it's all below the dots, and maybe a little bit of tops of the circles, but that's been a really good drill to get players to understand about moving to open areas, about staying on the D side of the puck, and kind of doing what I think you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's a really good sequence.
If you got a copy of that, Peter, share it with us.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's worked at absolutely every level.
How young would you do that with?
I think it depends on like who you're coaching, but I think if you had a team that had a lot of second year squirts on it, which here is 10 years old, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
I've done it like in clinics, and they've been able to grasp a hold of it. I mean, I'm a big believer in trying a drill. If it doesn't work, we just modify it in process to something that does work, and kind of go from there. Again,
Well,
I'm not worried about a drill looking, we talked about it before Tom came on, I think. I'm not worried about a drill where the purpose is for the drill to look pretty. I want the drill to be effective and teach something. And then once they learn, then it does look a little bit better. It looks correct, if you will.
Yeah. Tom, you were mentioning how the difficulty you have with your first year players that can't pass or can't receive passes. I don't know. I think they go hand in hand.
Well, their passing and receiving skills there's a big difference, and they skate, stick handle, work their hard as you absolutely can. But man, if it's getting better, but so many passes hit their stick and go to the other's defense. And I find as they take it, they kind of push it forward instead of, stopping the puck. There's too much movement there. So, like, one of the best drills for that is a small horseshoe. They have to pass while they're moving. They have to take it while they're moving. And we'll do that tonight. And we'll just keep on working on it. But it's compared to their other skills, which are really, really good, the passing and receiving skills are behind for sure. They should be doing a lot more when they're younger, I think. But yeah. But the thing about them is they they see the pass that needs to be made, which is the hardest part to teach. They're making the right play. They're just not finishing it. So we'll keep working on it all year till they can take passes wherever.
Tom, is that because the passer doesn't handle the puck to feel it, to pass it?
No, it's just sometimes they handle the puck and they miss them by 10 feet. And I think, how the heck did you miss them by that much? They just aren't, the skill isn't there to, like, I don't want them passing when they're standing still.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty good at that, but I don't want them standing still passing. So they just have to learn to be able to make that play as they're skating, and to take the pass.
I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. The 3-man weave seems
we do that.
something
We
that
do
would
that a lot.
contribute to that, but I think you scratch your head when you don't know who's played for who at what level before they get to you. But passing and receiving, as you know, has not been a strength in the game, generally speaking, in North America. They're pretty good one-on-one with the puck, but team play, and like Peter mentioned, with his mini nets and being able to pass the open lane and mini nets and getting to that spot. I mean, I don't think you can do enough of that type of work.
Wally, I just emailed you and Tom that dot game drill was actually, there's something that used to work with my son has a skill training company called IPH Hockey, and we worked with a group in Connecticut called Gotta Love Connecticut Hockey, and there was a video of me explaining the dot game, which I emailed to you guys.
Okay, thanks a lot. It sounds like a really good game.
It is, and it's really fun because you're like the team they really get into it. They really get into it. You know, and you can make little rules as your skill level gets higher that you're working with. You know, maybe that pass has to be a one-timer to the goalie. If it wasn't a one-timer, you said, "Oh, that was a catch," and then you shot it. Wasn't a one-timer. You can't go yet. They get a little frustrated. The other team teases them. It kind of goes back and forth, and you know, you can kind of put as much spice as you want to it, as many jalapenos as you want in the recipe.
Yeah, there's a very similar drill we did at Mike Schumi did with the player behind the net. The same kind of an idea.
Yeah, yeah.
You pass them, then they can come out, and then they have to go back if But
Sure.
that's a good sequence. Like we're playing a few games tonight, like two pass, which is you have half the teams at each end, and they're playing like 4-on-4 maybe, and you have to make two passes before you can score, but the puck can't clear the zone if it does, the other team gets it. But I put rules on that, so the first rule we're going to go do for 5 minutes is they have to make an escape move before they can pass or shoot, because a bad habit I find is if players are going to pass, they stand still, and if they're going to stick out all over, they go. And I'm trying to get it so every time they get the puck, they move to open ice. They have to make the play, and then the next rule is going to be they'll play 5 minutes, and the next rule will be that goals have to come on a given goal. So players don't pass and watch; they pass and go. So those are two big habits.
Yeah, and that's great because again, you're teaching the concept of, you're working with their IQ, you're giving them something to think about when they play. And then you hope at some point it becomes natural, right?
Yeah. Yeah, those are really big things. It is if players go from the first game playing role, they've got the puck, and they pass to somebody, they're no longer in the first game playing role, right?
Right.
Now they have to support the puck, and players I see that players get taught because they're doing so many drills. They do something, and then they stay in that role instead of passing and going. They pass when they watch,
Right.
and I really saw like all those drills I sent you guys. The biggest change I see right now from other times I've been going to pro practices for years, right? Now when they do a 2-on-1, they play the whole play out. They go for the rebound, make the play. The next group doesn't leave until they're done. Where before it was all about getting the flow in the practice.
Yeah.
You take a shot to 2-on-1 and then go back to line. And the rebound's sitting there behind the net. And now they're playing them out. And that is a big change in practice.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of speaks a little bit to what we're talking about. The drill looks a little less pretty, but it's actually much more effective.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to teach players, to take a shot and net and not go after the rebound, right? And the defense not to, react to whatever the situation is.
Yeah. That's
It's
like,
like I don't know if a common thing I see in a real flow drill sometimes. Maybe it's they end up with going in and shooting on the goalie. As they're shooting, they're turning towards the line already.
yes. Yeah. I was just going to say
Instead of
that. Percent.
yeah,
100%.
instead of following the shot for a rebound.
Yeah, tracking the puck, something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you watch some of those drills, you'll notice it's really noticeable that they're playing it out, and sometimes the coaches have to yell at them to play it out because they're ready to go back to line, eh?
Yeah. And that one you're talking about is interesting too. Like going to a practice and then asking a coach, do you in a game, do your players go after rebounds to try